Good morning. Well, afternoon, actually. I'm so used to mornings. But welcome back. Today, we're going to talk to Brandon from the DeFi Guide, Drip Guide. He's going to give us like a DeFi 101 kind of thing. And also, he's going to tell us all about what's new with Ark and what they've been up to since the last time we talked to him. Morning, Brandon. How's your day going?
Going
morning
great.
Again.
Afternoon, yeah.
Yes, afternoon. I'm staring at the time. It's 1 p.m. too.
And I appreciate you tailoring the time of this to meet my schedule. The ironic thing is that I didn't even end up trading today. So normally I trade very, very actively every single morning. I'm trading the opening bell, but I took the day off today. So, but anyway, I appreciate tailoring the time of it to be conducive to just in case. Usually I'm finished day trading pretty early in the morning, but sometimes, especially on a Friday, I might be managing a position the entire day, right up to the closing bell. So,
Oh, no
and
worries.
I posted my janky studio desk setup in the. I posted a picture in the chat.
Let me look. Which room did you post it in?
The lounge.
The lounge. Okay. I'm looking.
Yeah, you've got the cool Telegram setup where you have like multiple channels in your group.
Yeah.
Haven't taken the time to figure that out yet.
It's something I'm trying. I'm trying to. I'm OCD. I'm quite OCD as well. So organization is one of my little things. But anyways, okay. That's makeshift. Mine is a little bit more.
When I'm in the States, it's a little bit polished, a little bit more polished, but kind of have to do what you can do on the road.
So I guess my first question for you is how did you get first interested in DeFi, and what drew you to this space, sir?
Well, so I was doing a bunch of day trading since 2012, 2013 timeframe. And during the course of trying to learn how to be a day trader, I met various people online. And in 2017, one of my trading friends said, "Hey, dude, you got to check out this BitConnect thing." Have you heard? Has anybody heard of BitConnect?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
So that, and I had already been I had created a YouTube channel in early 2015, and throughout the course of 2015 until he introduced me to BitConnect, I was making periodic day trading videos, trying to get better at day trading, and also kind of trying to teach day trading, although I really had no business. I still don't have any business teaching day trading, and I don't really want to anymore. But that was always the goal. I was trying to combine my passion for day trading along with my passion for teaching, and having that be taking place on YouTube. So anyway, he introduced me to BitConnect, and we saw Crypto Nick making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a week in BitConnect, and I thought, well, let me try this out. So we got into BitConnect, he and I both, and I started making some videos actually on the channel about BitConnect and just Bitcoin in general as well. And also I started making some videos too about the horrible monetary system in which we exist, right? The nature of fiat currency, everything is based on debt. It's horrible. Inflation is stealing all of our value. So I kind of rolled all of that into one with Bitcoin and BitConnect and asymmetric risk versus reward ratio, like with BitConnect, even though it turned out to be a Ponzi and a scam. I still had an understanding of, well, look, this is, you're definitely taking a risk. If you invest in this, you be prepared to lose your entire investment. And even back then, I would talk about, you can lose your entire investment, so don't bet the farm on this and all of that. But there is an opportunity here where if you're really going to get your 1% every day, and you have the ability to compound that every day, that's tremendously powerful, right? Extremely powerful. So it is an opportunity, or was an opportunity, to turn a relatively small amount of money into a relatively large amount of money.
Yeah.
So BitConnect crashed and burned, right, towards the tail end of, well, actually, really beginning of 2018, it crashed and burned. But Bitcoin itself hit its peak, $20,000 peak in December of, I believe it was December of 2017. And I actually fortuitously learned about a different technology, a different consensus algorithm called Hashgraph. And yes, Hedera. That's awesome that you're familiar with it. Yeah, I heard about that in December. I still know the day, December 19th, 2017, because as soon as, it might have been on the 18th, whatever. As soon as I saw that technology, I thought, oh, okay. So this consensus algorithm is going to render blockchain obsolete. It's just a far better technology. And so I made a video on the 19th, posted it saying, I'm going to sell all my Bitcoin. So it was fortuitous because, of course, I couldn't exit my BitConnect position, but I was able to exit all of my Bitcoin position. That's right. That's all right. Live and learn. So that was actually a great lesson to learn about centralized versus decentralized. That was one of my
questions too. Damn
it.
You're ruining my show here.
No, that's how these interviews tend to go. We steal each other's thunders, but that's okay.
Go on, sir.
I sold all my Bitcoin pretty damn close to the high, and I exited my BitConnect positions as vigorously as I possibly could. You couldn't just withdraw everything and get out of everything, but I ended up taking some damage on the BitConnect situation, but not crazy bad. Obviously, I was able to sell Bitcoin very close to the high, sold 19,500 a coin or something like that. So that was fortuitous. And anyway, that guy that had got me involved in, I'm skipping a big piece of the story, which is early 2018. I kind of was done with crypto. I was done with Bitcoin. I was waiting for Hashgraph to become Hedera. And just kind of, BitConnect crashed and burned. So I kind of just had enough of it, didn't deal with crypto pretty much at all throughout 2018, 2019, 2020 even. No crypto. There was no crypto. There was no DeFi. There was nothing going on that front. I was just focused on day trading. And that same friend that introduced me to crypto, Nick, and BitConnect Billions, he reached out to me in May of 2021. And he said, check this, you got to check out this thing. There's this thing called Drip Network. And it pays you 1% a day. And I said, wait a second, 1% a day. This is BitConnect, V2.0. He said, well, he said it's a little bit different. The developer is really present. The developer is in the Telegram group. And I was like, what's Telegram? What's a smart contract? What's DeFi? I had no clue. I only knew about BitConnect and Bitcoin. That's pretty much it. And so I thought, well, this is a Ponzi. He showed me Drip Network, and he was also in a couple other DeFi plays. He was in Pancake Swap, staking the cake and the auto cake and getting cake tokens for free. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. So he was in a couple of other DeFi projects. But anyway, so May 21st, I jumped into Drip with $1,000. I jumped into Pancake Swap with several $1,000 because it seemed to me like Pancake Swap was the most legitimate, and I thought for sure that Drip Network was a complete Ponzi. But I thought, look, this thing just launched. Maybe I'll make some YouTube videos, and maybe I'll be Crypto Nick B2, because I'm in early. And I was convinced it was a Ponzi, and so it wasn't until that summer I listened to tons of AMAs and interviews with Forex Shark. And back in those days, it was only the Drip Telegram group. So I hung out in there, and we were, talking about what is a Ponzi, and what is a smart contract, what's actually going on here. And then I began to understand that, no, this is a smart contract. This is you and the blockchain interacting. And there's no investment manager. There's no scammer in the background saying, hey, just give me a bunch of your money and I'll invest it for you and I'll give you these amazing returns. And meanwhile, they're just a fraudster. There's nothing there like that. It's just a smart contract. It's just freaking software, and it's programmed to give you tokens. You put some tokens in, it's going to give you tokens back out, guaranteed. It's an immutable smart contract that's just programmed to do that. So I began to understand that. And I also spent a bunch of hours that summer watching Richard Hart. Polarizing dude, right? But I learned so much from him, and I really appreciate that. Like, I'm a guy that wants to do a deep dive and learn every single thing I can about a certain technology. That's what I've done my entire adult life as a career. So Richard Hart, I'm a huge fan because I learned a ton from him. And the most important thing that I learned from him is this idea that you can actually design a cryptocurrency to appreciate in value. That was a mind-bending thing for me back then when I first learned that. What are you talking about? You can't design an asset. You can't design an investment to appreciate in value. Oh, wait, you can, because you can build in something like a referral system, right? And the more active people are promoting that investment product, the more new users and new capital floods into it, right? So and that's just one example of a design element that can be coded into the smart contract to make it do well as an investment vehicle. So I started to understand the bullishness of Drip. I did make an investment. I did invest in Hex because that's Richard Hart's coin, right? And it's the same. Mm-hmm. It's essentially the same idea. It's a token where it's designed. There's a staking smart contract where you earn more tokens for free. For simply removing the tokens from the circulating supply, which is the same thing that happens with Faucet, right? You're removing the tokens from circulating supply, locking them up for forever, right? And then you earn them back and you earn free tokens on top of that. So I went from $1,000 to I think about $22,000 invested in Drip, and that was that turned out to be a life-changing decision. to 8 into Drip. We all know the history. Hopefully we do, right? Dropped, spiked up from $2 in May to $59 in July of 21. Then it came all the way back down to $6.84 in September. I only know this price history because I've repeated it so many dang times on my channel, right? Dropped all the way down to $6.84 in September, and then blew up, right? We've got tons of user adoption in the tail end of 21 and the beginning of 2022, thanks to Manor Farm and Animal Farm and tons of people just FOMOing into the token. It jumped all the way up to $200 a token.
Good times. I caught I didn't find Drip that early. I caught it like maybe about 6 months after that. No, about like 6 to 7 months before the Animal Farm. That's when I found it. So that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you. You were kind of like when I showed up in DeFi, you were there amongst other people. I think you're one of the success stories. So here we are. I found this opportunity to talk to you. So that's what I'm doing.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I am one of the success stories, but it's one of the things I don't particularly like about the design of Drip Network. I benefited from an enormous amount of user adoption. When we get user adoption, we get capital flow, right? So we get flow, we get capital flowing into the token. And the way Drip Network is designed, 100% of that new capital goes into the token. It goes into the DEX, right? It goes into the liquidity pool, and the price of the token goes parabolic. So what you have is early adopters like myself get a massive home run win. But as the price keeps going higher and higher and higher, the later you get in, and it just psychologically it creates the FOMO. Oh my God, this thing is pumping, I better jump in. And the later you are, the worse you're going to do. So I'd rather, Drip was the original. Well, I guess Flow was the original because Drip is a fork of bank teller Flow.
I'd like to think of Drip as more like an evolution of things. There were so many precursors to it that led to what he built. That's the one thing I think about Forex. He's good at looking at what's working and seeing how to improve it, and also looking at what didn't work and seeing how to turn it around and make it work. And I think that's one of the my story is similar to yours. I started listening to a lot of his AMAs. I thought it was a Ponzi, just like you. I stayed away for like a month or two, and then I think I came across a video by Richie. I think it was Richie, and I listened to that video and I gave it a chance. I listened to one of his AMAs. Same thing. I was like, "What the hell is Telegram?" And then I started listening. That was one of the very first rooms I joined. And I remember listening to his AMAs, very informative. And his AMAs are what convinced me that it wasn't, same thing as you. After you read into it, after you see the details, after you understand it, you realize what it is.
I like that word evolution. And I agree. That's exactly what happened. The original was Flow, and Forex did innovate. And he did look at Flow and make several significant, great design improvements. Right. It's funny because so it evolved from Flow to Drip, but it was still and remains still highly experimental. No one knows what drip is going to do. Nobody knew back then what it was going to do over the next 2 years, and now it's more than 2 years old, right? And no one knows what it's going to do over the next 2 years. It's still experimental. And the other thing I like about evolution is that's exactly, I just pointed out one of the issues that I personally have now that I know what I know. See, I didn't know this at the beginning of getting into Drip Network, but now I have an understanding of that dynamic of all new user capital going directly into the price of the token, going directly into the liquidity pool. That's one way to design it, but it turns out the design can evolve to a system like Ark, where the capital doesn't go into the liquidity pool. The capital goes into almost like a savings account, called the ILC, the Intelligent Liquidity Controller. And that's a superior design, in my opinion. And it's not to say anything about Forex, because he was innovative. He did make massive improvements from flow to drip, but it's only, it makes sense that another developer could come along at some point and go, well, this is a good design, but I think I can change some things. I think I can make some design improvements. And if I'm an honorable, honest, dude with integrity, then not only can I make those design improvements, but I can also create a system where, people aren't going to get ripped off and scammed.
Amen, sir. The way I think of DeFi in a similar way to you. I've always thought about it as Legos. I think everything on the blockchain is this grand Lego experiment, and it's like which everybody's finding all these different mechanics and they're putting them together to try to build this thing that we don't actually know what the hell we want to build, but people can see your set and see what you're doing with it, and they can be like, oh, you know what? You didn't think about this configuration. Let's try this instead. So yeah, I think we're of the same mind. DeFi is like a new, it's like poetry kind of, trying to see. I think developers are sort of poets. They're trying to invent logic and structure that wasn't there before. I think that's one of the things that attracted me to DeFi, is seeing I think it goes very well with my ADD, my ADHD. There's so many different pieces. I don't have to focus on one. I can go over here when I'm bored. I can go over there when I'm bored. There's so many different little things here. And I think that's why I like it, sir.
Well, you could think of it, I like to think of it now, just sort of thinking out loud, as poetry, or science. So this is a scientific process. And so, Forex stood on the shoulders of a giant called BT and went from flow to drip. And then the folks over at ArkFi stood on the shoulders of the giant Forex, right? And other protocols, right, like Splassa, Furia, whatever, stood on their shoulders and took that next evolutionary step and just improved the science and the design even further.
Not to go off on a tangent, but that's one of the reasons that the tribal nature of these rooms really irritates me. It just the tribal, like the cult. God, it bothers me so much. But forgive me, I don't want to go on this tangent. I'll be here all day. So let me take this as a good segue to my next question.
Sure.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're just starting out in DeFi?
Wow. So one of the biggest mistakes I've seen for, years now is folks not taking any kind of risk off the table, whether it's faucet and no, dude, I'm just going to hydrate every single day. And I'm never going to take anything off the table, or it's drip garden where I'm going to put these LP tokens in and just grow the hell out of my garden, and I'm never going to take any LP tokens out. That is the biggest mistake. I mean, above and beyond the obvious one, which is the number one rule in crypto, right? Don't give your seed phrase out to a scammer, and don't enter it into a website. That's a very tragic thing, and that's obviously the biggest mistake in DeFi. But yeah, I kept seeing that, especially last year as I was doing my live streams 3 times a week, and I would get so many questions about Drip Garden, and oh my God, you know, how do you deal with the decay? And of course, the price of the Drip token kept dropping, which means the value of the LP tokens keeps dropping. Plus, it's designed, Drip Garden is designed to have that increasing buying power over time, which means the seeds that you get every day are by default worth a lower and lower value each and every day. Plus, you know, people were taking LP tokens, at least some people were taking LP tokens out of Drip Garden. So there was this shrinking pie that everybody, so the decay was something fierce. And it continues to be something fierce with Drip Garden. And I would routinely encounter viewers on the stream that had never sold a single seed. They'd never even started to ROI, you know, let alone achieve some kind of a profit in Drip Garden. They would simply compound day after day, sometimes multiple times a day.
I think that goes back to the cult thing that we were talking about. The thing I notice about these rooms is the sell shaming. Hodl, 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 hodl. The people telling you to not, forgive me to interrupt you, but if somebody's telling you to hodl, it's because they want to sell, sir. And it's because they're selling and they don't want you to sell. So that's all I'm saying.
I mean, it can go either way though, because, and you know, the story I always talk about on my channel as well is how Bitcoin went from less than a penny per coin, or a penny per coin, all the way up to $69,000. So wouldn't that be amazing if you held the entire time? You know, that's a story where, you know, you don't want to trade in and out. You want to hodl the entire time and realize just a massive return on investment. So there is arguments to be made, in my opinion, for being a hodler versus a trader. But at the same time, it's extremely important, I believe, to take some of those chips off the table and at least freaking intermittently, once in a while, I mean, even if it's just twice a month or something like that, dude, take some money off the table, take it out of crypto and back into, you know, quote unquote, real life. I don't consider dollars to be real money.
There's no better feeling than after you've ROI'd on a project and you come back and you're still getting paid. It's amazing. It's like discovering magic. It's like discovering magic.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, a lot of us in Drip, we did that, but the majority of folks that got into Drip got in during that pump. That's why the price pumped from $7 to $200, is because there were tens of thousands of people getting into Drip, and that's the only place the money could go, is into the price of the token. And so, you know, by default, all of those folks that came in 2022, you know, they're, I believe they're down on their investment. They gotta be.
I have seen so many people disappear in the last 6 months to 9 months. Yeah. So many people have disappeared, and so much bitterness because they came in, because of what you're describing. Yeah.
Well, back, like I said, when I was learning how a token can be designed to appreciate in value, the biggest component of that is user adoption, Well, so how do you get user adoption? And by the way, that's the reason why Bitcoin went from a penny to $69,000, because only a handful of people even knew it existed back in the day, and then it became a household name. That's user adoption, right? And that's why the value went crazy. So if user adoption is a huge component to DeFi, then how the best route to get a bunch of user adoption is to have a bunch of happy customers, right? At the end of the day, this is a product. DeFi is a financial product, and you have customers being satisfied or not. The more satisfied your customers are, the more active they're going to be in spreading the word, right? And that's how you're going to get user adoption. So unfortunately, what happened with Drip created a lot of disgruntled folks and unhappy customers, dissatisfied customers. You can't blame anybody for being unhappy about their investment when it just tanked all year long. And again, I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here. Certainly, I would never bet against Forex, and I would never say anything bad about Forex. But again, this was a big experiment, and none of us knew how it was going to play out. And now we're looking at more than 2 years of past history, and it's right there. You can see what happened, and you can't help but have a ton of disgruntled, unhappy, dissatisfied consumers or customers of this financial product. And not only are they going to not spread the word, they're not even going to participate in the community anymore. They're just going to be like, oh, well, that didn't work. Let me go back to my normal life.
Yeah, I've seen quite so much of that lately. What would you, if it were up to you, what would you, not just Drip but in general, how do you think, what do you think would be the right way to change the sentiment around, or at least improve it marginally?
Yeah, well, I mean, the design has evolved. The design of the daily ROI DApp, right, has evolved, and ArkFi is the result of that. And we can get into the various. There's a ton of design features that have been, in my opinion, very well thought out to answer all of these sort of consider things that you need to consider to build a good product, a product that creates satisfied, happy customers that drive user adoption. None of this is going to work without massive user adoption. You just can't. Everybody gets in, and then we're all just sharing the same amount of capital between all of us that nobody's going to realize any gains. You have to have continuous growth. You have to have hyper growth. Ideally, you have hyper growth. So we could talk about all the design elements that have gone into the next evolution, which I think is pretty well represented by ArkFi. But before we even get into that, I like to talk about the fact that we're hopefully going through a huge transfer of wealth, right? So because of inflation, because of information that's now available on the internet freely, more and more folks are starting to understand the toxicity of a debt-based fiat currency system. And it's hitting close to home now that inflation is actually happening in big terms, and it's hitting everybody's pocketbook significantly in real life. So as that awareness is starting to grow, it's like you can't unsee what everybody is seeing now. So as a result of what folks are learning about the nature of a debt-based currency system and the inflation that it drives, they want to get out. So some old school folks will be like, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of gold. Right. And that's fine. And some new school folks will be, oh, I'm going to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. And that's fine too. Both of those are much harder forms of money than fiat. But for me, I want to participate. I want the most bang for my buck, so to speak.
Right.
And that is definitely, I like Bitcoin, okay, but I'd rather have an altcoin where I can benefit not only from just the natural flow of capital out of fiat and into crypto, but I can also benefit from a massive percentage, a massive growth spurt in percentage terms. So you go from 2,000 users to 20,000 users. That's going to move the needle a lot more than going from 100 million to 101 million Bitcoin holders, right?
I think this analogy, I was talking to somebody recently about AI and where we think AI is in its stages of evolution, but I think the same thing kind of applies to DeFi too. I think we're right now, DeFi blockchain technology is right around the Razor phone, right? I think it's just right around the Razor phone, and we're seeing like the beginnings of like an iPhone kind of emerging. I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't think blockchain has had its like the iPhone is here moment quite yet. I don't think so, but I think we're almost there. And it feels like we're getting at least to me, it feels like I'm getting a front seat to watching that happen a little slower, a bit slow, but I think that's what's about to happen. And then we have all the evolutions after that to look forward to. So it's going to be fun to see where this money Lego system thing leads to, if it leads to, hopefully it leads to more meaningful freedom. People throw that word around, but I'd like it to be meaningful. And maybe I'm getting too Star Trek. But anyways, I digress. Maybe I'm getting too Star Trek.
I'm not familiar with, you said Razor phone. I'm not familiar with that.
You don't remember the Razor flip phone? The very first silver one everybody had? You don't remember it?
I don't remember specifically that phone, but so essentially you're talking about sort of the S-shaped user adoption curve, the S-shaped curve. Yeah, exactly. No, so exactly. So I feel there's a tremendous opportunity for folks to continue to benefit from that S-shaped user adoption curve, even with respect to Bitcoin. Now, some people, Richard Hart included, would argue that, the world, he always says the world's richest guy already is in. So where are you going to go from there? If the world's richest guy already bought Bitcoin, you're kind of at the end of that S-shaped curve. And I tend to agree with that, which is why I go for the lower cap, earlier part of the S-curve type of tokens and coins, such as Drip, right? Such as Ark. So I think certainly with respect to ArkFi and even Drip, we're much earlier on that S curve, and so therefore we have so much more opportunity in percentage terms to just actually absolutely ride that wave.
I mean, just walk outside anywhere, ask the first 5 people you meet randomly, what the hell is a blockchain? They'll look at you like you're insane. So yeah, people don't even know. The majority of the population doesn't know anything yet, and we're like in the the eBay days of like the 1990s when the internet, when you could buy stuff online and just have it show up. We're at that stage. We're not at the Amazon stage yet. That's what I mean. I think that was what my earlier tangent was about. And it feels exciting that we're going to get there, sir. It really does. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my next segue, let's see. How do you think your experiences as a trader informs your approach to DeFi? Or I guess, yes.
So day trading, oh man. So day trading has been an arduous, painful, difficult journey that I wouldn't recommend to anyone. I mean, I'm
2 months, and
I'm at, yeah. I mean, people throw themselves off of bridges because of day trading woes. It is not an easy way to make money. And underneath that, moralistically, I don't feel great about an industry where the only way I can consistently harvest profits out of the stock market or the options market or whatever market you're trading, the only way that I can consistently generate profits is the net of other folks in that same market are consistently losing. That's the only way I can be a consistent winner, is if there are enough consistent losers on the other end of that equation to pay my bills, you know? So that doesn't sit well with me. And so it never has sat well with me. I've always loved the idea of being a teacher and contributing to other people's well-being by providing information to them and teaching them and sort of helping them get to understand whatever it is I'm teaching. That I love. That I feel moralistically, I feel really good about doing that. But the whole time I was doing day trading and my YouTube channel was strictly day trading content, I always had that nagging feeling at the back of my mind where I was like, what am I really teaching people? First of all, I have no business teaching because I'm not consistently profitable myself. I was just more of kind of documenting my day trading journey and different things I was trying and trying to figure it all out and trying to become consistent. But I always thought, well, what's the whole point of this? You're just teaching, you're teaching people how to rob money from other people. If you're good at day trading and you're consistently harvesting those profits, you're taking money from other people. So contrast that with the idea of getting into cryptocurrency and riding this massive wave of user adoption. That's a whole other story, because what's happening, and people really get hung up on this when they first hear about crypto, and they even hear me explaining, well, what's necessary with any of these DeFi products is we need user adoption. We need capital to continue to flow in, and that's how your investment grows. Even that feels pretty sketchy to people. They're like, wait a second. So in order for me to profit, somebody else has to come along in the future? And I'm like, yeah, a whole bunch of people. You want a whole bunch of people to come in. And so then they say, well, that's a Ponzi. I'm only going to make money if somebody else, is paying that bill. And I'm like, wait, no, because they're going to win as well, because we're still a tiny drop in the bucket here. There are hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of fiat currency swimming out there. And, the entire crypto market is what, 1.5 trillion. It's absolutely microscopic. And so everybody has, it's minuscule. And so therefore everybody who gets into crypto, irrespective of somebody else getting in earlier than them and benefiting as a result of them getting in, everybody that gets into crypto still has a future. It's literally a situation where everyone can win. The only loser in this game, and let's be frank, it's all just a fucking game. Like Richard Hart would say, it's fake, made up magic internet money. All of it is.
Well, all money is, sir.
Yeah. It's all, and that, I mean, we could get off on a whole other tangent there, which is I think humanity and the technology that we have, I think we've outgrown a system of money and markets. We could have all of our human needs, which are pretty much universal, by the way. We all sort of need the same stuff. We need food, we need water, we need shelter, we need entertainment, we need healthcare. We need a sense of purpose. We need fulfillment. We need community. We need love. We all have the same needs, and we don't need money for any of it. We can have fully automated systems for all of our goods needs. We don't need money. We don't need markets. We just need stuff. We need stuff, and we need community. And it's not. So I feel like on a really big picture, I think humanity has outgrown the monetary system. But
yeah,
that
that reminds me. That reminds me of I like the reasoning behind words. I like some words. I like to figure out their origins, why it's that way, blah blah blah, and what you just explained. The reason we have banks is one simple, basic reason. It was too hard to carry around gold. So a couple people sat around at a bench, right? And the Latin word for bank is, I forget what the hell it is, but in the end, it means bench. They sat around at a bench and they devised a way to trade. That's how people would trade back in the days. They would sit at a bench. And somebody saw them doing that, and they were like, okay, let's give you a shortcut. You give us your gold, and we'll give you these pieces of paper. And that was so long ago. And now, with the same analogy that you use, it's kind of like now, with the advent of blockchain and digital currency, we don't need somebody to hold the gold for us anymore because it's not heavy. It's digital. We got it. So I feel like blockchain is like what you're saying is the evolution of money, where the system we have now was based on because shit was too heavy to carry around.
Yeah, and we no longer need what it boils down to going from a centralized system to a decentralized system, right? So we needed a centralized system of holding trust. That gold in a vault.
We needed trust, and one of the ways I think of the blockchain is trust is built in native. So, that was the reason for a bank. We needed somebody to trust. We don't need that anymore. Trust can be built into the code. Trust can be law. We don't need to trust. We don't need it anymore. And so, yeah, you're right. We've evolved.
And no, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. It's I enjoy it. So, So I'm a fan of decentralizing everything. We're starting with our financial systems, going from centralized systems that don't work for anyone to decentralized systems that are much better for humankind. But I think we should go to decentralized healthcare systems. I think we should go to decentralized food systems. I think we should go to, decentralized governance, where communities govern themselves as they see fit without having to worry about borders and wars, and decentralized management of resources. I mean, because we're all humans, so all of the planet's resources belong to all of us. So really the best way to distribute natural resources, in my opinion, is in a decentralized way, recognizing that we're all humans, and so we all should have an equal share ownership of the world's resources, and we have the technology now to automate all of production, and now we're seeing with AI we have the technology to automate a whole lot more than just physical production of goods.
I think what's missing is the will. Is the will to do it, sir?
The will, well, yeah.
We've been able to do it for some time, but
there's an entrenched there's an entrenched system of power, where all these centralized systems are beneficial to, a tiny majority of people on this planet. And when you have all that power and you have a monopoly on the ability to create money, which is what the banks have, they have a monopoly. If you and I try to create currency out of thin air like a bank does, we're going to prison for counterfeiting. But a bank counterfeits currency every single day. Every time somebody goes into the bank to get a car loan, for example, that bank representative is going to simply do some typing, right? They're going to log into their computer system. They're going to enter your name and your address and your information and the terms of the loan, and they're going to create a bunch of currency out of thin air simply by doing some data entry. They're going to type some keys on their keyboard, and boom, currency springs into existence. And only the banks can do that. So I'm a bigger fan of currency that's created equally, and everybody has the same opportunity. Mm-hmm.
And at the core of it, it's all backed up by violence, by the threat of violence. Because
there you go.
The government has if you don't play nice, they have the police, they have everything. So that's, we're getting too deep into this.
There's no such thing as too deep.
but you get what I'm saying. The government has a monopoly on violence. At the end of it, they have a monopoly on violence.
So that brings up an interesting question, which is, okay, so if these centralized systems have so much power and so much control, like, how do we overcome that? How does humanity overcome this very, very powerful central banking, commercial banking system? Like, we're certainly not going to be able to go out into the streets. We tried, right? In 2008, you had the Occupy Wall Street movement, and there was a bunch of people picketing, marching on the streets, and it didn't do anything. It didn't change a thing. Well, no. I shouldn't say that, because it was out of 2008 that Bitcoin was created. So that changed the world.
True.
But if we're not going to overcome this system by protesting and marching in the streets, how are we? How can we overcome? How can humanity free itself from these systems? And my opinion on that is we need to remove our energy. So at the end of the day, money is energy, right? You go to your job, or you run your business, or whatever you're doing to get money, and you earn money, and you're able to store that economic energy for the future, right? So it's energy. So if we remove our energy from the fiat system and start to put it into the crypto system, then it's like we're undermining the fiat system.
Yeah,
that's the only way we can win. We've got to remove ourselves from the system, one person at a time.
It's kind of like my brain just interpreted it as we gave our proxy to the government, back in the day. Now we need to move our proxy to the blockchain.
Yeah, just withdraw.
Yeah, we just need to move our votes, our proxy, our allegiance, whatever you want to call it, whatever analogy you have, whatever euphemism. So, next question, sir.
Sure.
Hold on. These two, What do you think are the biggest challenges facing the DeFi space currently, and how do you think they can be addressed in the future? And I'll also add to that too. Let me preface that question by saying, what do you think is going on with the current state of DeFi out as far as the government in the U.S. is concerned too? You know, I'm sure you've heard the news and so on, blah blah blah, about them going pursuing enforcement through litigation instead of just making the damn rules. What do you think, sir?
Well, so the biggest challenge is the FUD, man. Maybe right. The FUD. And I think the most important thing is to we need to branch out. We have we have a cult called DeFi. Right? We're like this little tiny group of people on the planet we're into DeFi, right? We're, as I always say on my channel, we're the DeFi heads, all right? But we're a small group of people, a really small group of people. And so we can do well. And we continuously grow our ecosystem. We grow our community of more people getting into DeFi, but it's really kind of a snail's pace compared to what's actually possible if we can get really mainstream adoption and help people, to overcome that steep learning curve, help to flatten the learning curve, and just get mainstream adoption. Not thousands of wallets, but hundreds of thousands of wallets. And, not, we got, 50 new users in this ecosystem today. No, we got 50,000 new users today. And we're going to get, that, because there's billions of people out there, including, if you look at just the folks that have a smartphone, the so-called unbanked, there's 1.4 billion. So that's our challenge is to spread the net, as Atlas would always say, spread the net, and let's bring in not the thousands, but the hundreds of thousands and the millions of people into DeFi. And so to do that, you need to meet those folks where they are. They don't have time. No, my friend Anthony, he's about the least DeFi head person you would ever meet. I mean, he argues with me about even just Bitcoin and, it's not backed by anything. Well, neither is fiat, dude. But anyway, like he's completely averse to the technology. He does not even want to deal with a freaking seed phrase. He's like, every time I ask him to do something, he's like, oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. So you have to meet people where they are, and people do not have the kind of time that you and I have to hang out on Telegram and to watch a YouTube. I mean, people don't even have time to watch a 20-minute YouTube video, let alone an hour and a half live stream. So we need to meet people where they are, and where people are these days is they need more money. They don't have shit for time. They got zero time. I probably should stop cussing because I do want to put this recording on my YouTube channel. Bad, Brandon. Yeah, so that's our biggest challenge. We really need mainstream adoption. I think it's possible, but we have to implement the right kinds of systems and get the word out there.
It's like you're in my head. I just had this argument with somebody the other day, and I told him, Grandma doesn't give a damn about your seed phrases. Grandma doesn't care.
Yep.
Grandma don't care. Nobody cares if you find me one person in DeFi that says they like dealing with 24 seed words, you found a bullshitter, because that's a lie. That's a fucking lie. Nobody wants 24 seed words. Nobody. Now, I have a suggestion for people that are watching, developers out there. There's this really cool thing called ERC4337. Please go build on it. Please go build on it. Build me that. Build me a wallet with that. Build me an ecosystem with that. For those that don't know, ERC4337 is like the answer to that, right? It boils. It's fairly complicated. You guys should look it up. I'll post a video in the room, but it's a game changer in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
It'll boil down your seed phrases to an email. That's all you really have to do. In the end, it can just be an email. And if you ever lose it, you can set up people have like your mom or your best friend as somebody, as a trusted referrer that'll be like, oh, that's him, and they'll verify your identity. Right. So if you ever lose you can't lose your wallet. You just have to you set up just like you would your email. Like right now, I have a backup email. If I ever lose it, that sends it. It's the same thing, but ERC4337 makes it boils down to that. I'm oversimplifying it and not even doing it justice, but yeah, please go look it up. Have people build on that, please. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyways, sorry.
No worries. I'm not familiar with that ERC4337.
It's I think it went live last month, I want to say, or a month or a half ago. I mean, ERC for Jesus.
It's actually one of the things I like about the so in ArkFi we do a daily podcast, and then there's a segment near the end of every podcast called the DeFi sessions. So there's a dude in there, Z33, who's super knowledgeable about so many different things, but definitely he's very knowledgeable with crypto and DeFi. And so we kind of always get some news and the news of the day, and get some updates on different things that are being developed and technologies that are coming out. So one of the things we've been talking about a lot lately is the whole ZK rollups, the zero knowledge proofs that are being. So I guess it's kind of a different sort of consensus mechanism on top of blockchain, and yeah.
I have a cursory understanding of it. I haven't really done a deep dive. It basically.
Me either.
Basically, it lets transactions go through without actually checking. That's the gist of it. The oversimplified thing. Now transactions actually have to check before they say, that it's finalized. This lets it do it without that some way. That's about.
There was there was. I think your question was a two-parter though. Wasn't it? You were saying
yes.
What's the challenge? What was the second part?
What do you think? What do you think about what's happening right now with the SEC?
Oh, yes.
And that's
yes. Good. Yeah, I did actually want to talk about that. I think it's kind of funny, and this is all the aftermath of Terra Luna and the aftermath, especially of FTX, right? So now you have the government up in arms, and Gensler at the SEC up in arms about, we have to stop all of these. We have to stop everybody from being scammed and being ripped off. And really, it boils down to they're actually making our argument for us, because none of us in DeFi, if we're doing DeFi the right way, we're not using centralized exchanges other than just for a hot minute. When we're going from fiat to crypto or crypto to fiat, we're using the on-ramp and off-ramp functionality, maybe using it as a bridge, but we are not doing much business at all with these centralized. Yeah. So one of the things that the SEC and the regulators have done is they've made it illegal, or they've sued these exchanges like Coinbase and Binance and Kraken, etc., such that these centralized exchanges can no longer offer any kind of a yield product. Great. Thank you. You just sent millions and millions of dollars of capital the hell out of these centralized exchanges and over to DeFi.
I was so happy.
Yeah.
I was happy about that.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's like Atlas always jokes, well, I sent Gary Gensler a bunch of flowers. I hope he got my flowers because, thank you. Thank you for making these, 5% a year yield products illegal. Now all of these users who thought they were doing crypto, now they're going to be... Yeah, now they're going to be forced to go, oh, okay, so the right way to do crypto is to actually custody my coins myself and use a wallet. And hold on a second, I used to get 5% a year on my my whatever it is, my yield product on what's that? It starts with a G. What is it?
Genesis?
Anyway. Genesis, and there was another G1. Anyway, they're like, they thought they'd hit the lottery by getting 7% APR, and now they're forced out onto the streets, so to speak. They're forced out onto the blockchain, and we're going to welcome them with open arms. And by the way, guess what? Your 5% APR, your 7% APR. That's nothing, man. That's nothing. Let me show you what we got over here. You want to look at 165% APY? We got something for you. You want to look at 15,000% return on investment over the course of 4 or 5 years? Check this out. So yeah, I think it's good as long as we can get ahead of the FUD, and as long as we can get ahead of the educational process and get enough content out there so that all of these folks realize that there's a better path, right? They thought they were doing well, but guess what? There's a much better, safer, trustless path for you out there, and the yield is way better, and you get to benefit from this hyper growth that can happen in DeFi. Welcome.
I like that.
We're glad to see you, man. Boy, do we have a story for you.
Hold on. And here's another question. Where's my question? Jesus, my mind. I wish it would be more linear. It's not. Where is it? Okay, here it is. Can you walk us through the process of creating a DeFi investment strategy? What factors you usually put into it? And that also ties into this other question. How do you do your research on different projects? What would you say to somebody getting into DeFi on how to get started without being overwhelmed and all that stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So for sure, the most important thing to me is the team, the development team behind whatever DeFi product I'm looking at. And I told you at the beginning, like I felt super skeptical about Drip, and I was only willing to put $1,000 into it. And I was completely focused on saving up my available rewards until I was able to, like, all I wanted to do was get my initial investment back, and then let me see what I can do with this. But I was vigilant as all get out to just no, this is a scam. This is dangerous. And it wasn't until I took the time to get to know Forex through his interviews, through his AMAs, to be like, wow, this guy's legit. I mean, so many of the things he would say, you just a scammer wouldn't say those kinds of things. A scammer would not be taking the time to spend 2.5 hours on an AMA talking about this whole system.
Right.
You know,
And
so
the passion that you can hear the passion. I think that's one of the reasons why he's got such a cult following. You can hear that he actually he's passionate about this shit. It feels like he has something to prove. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, him and Richard Hart, I gained a lot of trust. And there's still risk. You can never know, no matter how much you listen to a dude and how great you think he is and how honest he is, et cetera. You never really know for sure. But I gained a lot of trust. And so that's the most important thing for me, was I don't want to get involved in a DeFi protocol unless I feel really confident about the developer or the developers or the team behind it. And then it's kind of, so for the longest time, I would only people would approach me with different platforms, especially once I got, more popular on YouTube and stuff. I would get DMs and people would be asking me about this protocol and that protocol. And I was just a Forex maxi. That was it. Even when I was originally approached by one of my own trusted admins about ArkFi, when he originally, and I think he was on the call, Florida Realtor, Shannon, when he approached me about ArkFi originally, I was like, nope, nah, no thanks. I know that I feel extremely confident that I can trust Forex Shark. And thus, I am only going to get involved with Forex Shark products. That's it for me. I'm not even going to take the time to look at anything else. And then what happened is a couple of months later, Shannon said to me again, he's like, dude, I really think you should check out Ark. And by the way, the founder and the lead architect, they'd like to meet with you and have a call, So that went a long way for me, just having a conversation with these guys and listening to the things they were saying. And then the fact that they'd had a podcast every day, at that point, I think we were on, I don't know, podcast number, whatever, 80 something or 70 something. And like, these guys, if they're taking the time each and every single day, they're taking the time out of their schedule to sit there and have a podcast and talk with the community. Hey, whoever wants to unmute their mic and ask a question and make a comment, whatever, we're here. We're right here, So that kind of transparency, that kind of presence spoke volumes to me, as well as, just the words coming out of their mouth. Like, these are not the words of a scammer. These are not the words of somebody that's trying to trick everybody and scam and rug pull everybody. So the most important thing to me, to answer your question more succinctly, I need to trust the team behind the product.
Fair enough. You explained it pretty well.
What was the second part of your question?
Oh, I forgot.
That was another two-parter.
Yes.
Basically, just like how do I build a portfolio?
Right. How you don't have to go into like great detail, but if give the everyman your approach to building like a small portfolio, not financial advice or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I built everything based on Forex Shark products, and then Ark came along, and I finally, for the first time in my 1.5 year history of being a DeFi investor, I finally branched out into something beyond the Forex Shark ecosystem. Really, really glad that I did. But there wasn't a lot of magic to it. I was just like, Forex Shark Maxi. Okay, what else? Whatever Forex is coming out with, I'm all in. And also just because of the nature of Drip Network and how that all worked out, and the YouTube channel and the referral and the giant team and all that, I also was able to do very well, well enough with the passive income coming from Faucet and Pigpen and stuff, so that I was able to, quit my job. Because prior to January of 2022, I had, full-time job, and the salary and everything like that. And then it got to a point where I was like, I mean, I'd wanted to quit my job for years and years and years and years. That's why I was primarily why I was doing the day trading thing, is like, okay, if I can finally get consistent, I can quit my job. But it got to the point with Faucet where it's like the daily was, it's like, okay, it's time. It's time to quit the job. So I did that, and then Drip did what it did, and even Animal Farm has been, the pigs token, the dogs token have been going down in value precipitously. And so now it's to a point where I need to have a certain amount of passive income, like daily passive income. I need to be able to rely on it to be there each and every day, so that I don't feel panicked about being able to pay all my bills. And I mean, it was stupid money in early 2022, such that I thought, well, I'm set for life. Now it's much more of a scramble, and it's a little bit. It's a little, I have more anxiety about, okay, things are going okay right now, but what's it going to be next month? And is it going to be enough? And do I have enough cash saved up in the checking account to be able to withstand something awful? Do I have 6 months of bills saved up, stuff like that? Because it's no longer the stupid money that it was in January and February of last year. So I'm really focused on passive income. It needs to give me passive income from day one. That's why I'm such a huge fan of ArkFi, because the system is designed to take out the guesswork of, okay, because that was the thing we talked about earlier, where a lot of folks with Drip simply never took anything out of it. And God bless them. They're like, I'm gonna hydrate until max wallet, and I'm gonna be made in the shade at the end of this. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way at all. And because they'd never taken any of their chips off the table, it was like, I won a lot, but then I lost it all back. You're sitting at the blackjack table and you got a stack of $1,500 in chips, and then 30 minutes later you got 2 chips on the table. It was that kind of scenario. So I'm hyper focused on removing risk daily. I want to be able to recoup my initial investment every single day, and at the same time, I want growth. So that's one of the reasons I really like the Vault with ArkFi, is that you're forced by the rules of the system and by the smart contract. You are forced to withdraw some of your daily rewards.
I love that. That was one of my favorite things. It's one of the first projects that I ROI'd super quick on it, and I love it. I love it.
Now, you don't have to, you do have to withdraw, but you don't have to sell. Now, I sell. I don't necessarily sell every day. Sometimes I'll wait a couple of days to save up tokens because of the timing. You can't sell more than once per 24 hours. So, depending on what time I allocated yesterday and sold yesterday, I might not be able to do the sell today. But for the most part, I'm like removing some of the risk and getting some of my ROI. I still haven't fully ROI'd. I did also ape into the, the legacy NFT. I just went right for the platinum. So I'm factoring that in terms of being able to fully recoup my initial investment. But I'm over 50% at this point, even though I just recently added another 16K into Vault. Yeah, I mean, it's just going so well. I'm like, might as well.
I've noticed you become somewhat their, that's kind of what the reason that gave me the idea to have this talk with you. You've become their pseudo envoy, ambassador, teacher thing. And I don't know, one of the recent things I'm trying to do here on my, whatever platform I've been trying to be more of like a educational thing, because I notice so much.
Lovely.
So I know there's so much things going wrong that are so simple that if somebody would have just asked just anyone else, just real quick, hey, do you think I should do this? It would have saved them so much time, energy, effort, and money, because somebody would have been like, yeah, that's a scam. Don't do that. And I think the little things like that need to happen more in this industry. I think that's what's going to propel us forward, is the things that make the security, the things that we do for security are too complicated. The more we dumb them down to just like it is in the legacy system, the quicker things will go. The more adoption it'll go. Back to my earlier tangent. Grandma doesn't want to deal with 24 seed words. And then once you start getting into this, now you have 10 wallets. Now you have 20. Now you have 30. Nobody wants to deal with that. And we're not going to get there with a system like that. We need it simplified. We need it, we need it every man's way. We just want to have our phone. We want to go to the counter and they say pay. We pull it up, the app, and we scan it, and we just want to leave. We don't want to, put in our 10-digit keyword into the phone first. We don't want to do a verified transaction first. We don't want to do any of that shit. We just want to scan it and we want to go. That's all we want. And if you want to, everybody is so concerned and obsessed with building the next thing with Web3. They don't realize that 2.5 is the way to go. We need Web 2.5 because we don't have a bridge yet. We need that before. That's what you should work on. And for all any developers, anybody working out there, work on simplifying things, work on making things easier, work on removing one more step for somebody. And then we'll be there. I also wanted to go back a second when you were talking about what made you like Ark and Forex. I think for me, it was very few other projects had the consistency and the structure that these guys do. Like Forex is super consistent about who he is, what his plans are. Super consistent. The man, anyways, as is Atlas. The man, I've come to, they're almost like caricatures in my head. I'll ask them a question and I'll wonder something and I'll watch somebody ask them the question and I can almost predict what they'll say because I've listened to their voice so many damn times. It's a little annoying. But anyways, one of the other reasons about Ark is, when I talk about consistency, is the daily podcast. My God, they're almost too available, and it goes on to this thing where people are making projects and they're treating it like it's a gig, like it's a side thing. Like the majority of these freaking projects are so ridiculous. They it's just like two friends that got together. I'll code this, you do this, you do that, and then they chat, like every couple of days, and that's a project. Well, when you start a project in the real world, you get an office, right? You go to work every day, don't you? Right? And I don't understand why these people are doing. And I know that you're going to say, we're doing it online, blah blah blah. So what? Sit at your desk, sit at your phone. Monday through Friday, you're starting a company. You're not starting a gig. If you want people to be in your project, treat it like a startup. That's what you are. Right? That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
For me, the whole podcast thing and just the time that Atlas and Brett put into it, it just really bolsters my confidence, and it really bolsters my trust.
They're running it like a company.
Yeah, and they're committing so much time and energy to it that a scammer doesn't do this. A scammer does not spend this kind of time and this kind of energy, and they're working 7 days a week and everything else. So that goes a long way for my number one consideration of wherever I'm going to invest my money in DeFi. I need to most importantly trust the developers, and I have that with Atlas and Brett because of all that time and energy that they put into it. The other thing I would say is just the design over there is absolutely freaking brilliant in multiple ways, and it mostly all boils down to user adoption. So we're dealing with a system where you get free tokens. Right, which sounds crazy to 99% of the people out there. What? I get free money? There's no such thing as free money. Well, yes, there is. There's these crypto tokens and these DeFi systems where you get paid free tokens, and those tokens have a value. And so if you're dealing with a system where everybody in the system is getting free tokens, then you need some kind of mechanism where those free tokens that everybody's earning have some kind of a value. And so the only way that those free tokens have a value is if the system grows, i.e. user adoption. So everything about Ark is designed with user adoption in mind. And the main piece of that is creating happy customers. If you're happy, you're happy. If you're happy, you're talking about Ark to your friends. The system grows. If you're happy, you're adding more capital. Like I put $22,000 in, then I added another couple thousand, and then I added 16,000 on top of that. Why? Because I'm freaking happy, And so happy customers bring more customers. Happy customers bring more capital. They start removing more of their capital away from the fiat system and into this new crypto DeFi system, right?
I just had this song pop in my head. If you're happy and you know it, tell your friends.
Perfect. If you're happy and you know it, add some capital. Because that's what you want is more users and more capital, right? So I mean, a lot of people are struggling to make ends meet. They're paycheck to paycheck. They don't have extra capital to throw in there, but other people do. And if you're skeptical and you're anxious, you're not gonna put very much into it at the beginning. But if you see how it goes and you're like, well, I'm just gonna try this. I'm gonna risk this $100. I'm gonna risk this $50. Whatever you're risking initially, and I'm gonna see how it goes. Right? That's what we all say to ourselves. This is sketchy. I don't know about this, but I'm gonna try it. But I'm not gonna get crazy. I'm gonna put $100 in. Whatever. But then I'm gonna see how it goes. Oh, I'm making money every day. Look at that. I've already ROI. I've already gotten $50 back. Well, that's cool. This is going well. I'm happy. This isn't a scam. This is actually working. Okay. Well, now I feel comfortable. I only went $100 at the beginning. I'm going to put 1,000 in now because this is going well. Heck, I'm going to put $5,000 in. Right. So and by the way, I'm going to tell my friend Bob, and I'm going to tell my brother, and they're going to get into it as well. And they're going to go through that same progression of, well, this sounds scammy as hell. Okay, I'll try it. You're doing so well with it. Okay, I'll put $100 in. What the hell? It's only $100. Oh, and so they go through that same thing a few weeks into it, a couple months into it. Damn, this thing is going well. And so the reason people are having that sort of positive user experience, there's multiple reasons. One is they're withdrawing every day and they're seeing from day one, that first 24-hour period, they come back literally the next day and they have rewards sitting there, and the system is mandating that they're going to withdraw some of those daily rewards. And then they turn that back into BUSD, right? And they're like, okay, that worked. It's not a scam. I can come back and do the same thing the next day. So they continue to pile up those positive experiences. They feel more trust about it. They feel less anxious. And that's because of that CWR 50/50 compounded withdrawal that's built into Vault, right? Now,
it took me forever to understand that, but when I did, it made sense.
Now, the other thing is, or another thing is, okay, I'm going to get free tokens with this, but dude, that sounds sketchy as hell, because if everybody's getting free tokens, how's that going to work? We're all, the tokens are going to go down the toilet in terms of value. And so with ARK, that doesn't happen. At least it could happen, but it hasn't happened thus far because of the ILC holding that price in a dynamic range. And you might have a flood of new people coming in, bringing tens of thousands of dollars into the system. That price isn't going to budge. All of that extra flush of capital is going to go into the ILC, and it's like saving up money for a rainy day. What's a rainy day? Well, a rainy day might be, you might go through a period of 2 or 3 weeks where the new users are only trickling in. There was a whole flood of new people and new capital coming in last month, but this month, for whatever reason, people are scared and they're not jumping in. Okay, well, that's fine. We have all this capital saved up in the ILC. We still have the existing users that are doing their daily withdrawals and their daily cashing in. Now we have a buffer. So it's exactly like a car with, a Cadillac. I remember Cadillac was always the best. My grandmother had a Cadillac, and it was always the smoothest ride you could ever imagine because it had that suspension system that was just like super smooth. You go down the road and there's potholes or whatever else, but that Cadillac was just smooth sailing, right? Because the shock absorber system and the dampening there, that's what the ILC does. You have this bumpy road of user adoption coming in, maybe not so strong. You got a bunch of people that are selling every day because that's how it works. You withdraw, you sell every single day. And so that kind of ebbs and flows, but that ILC just absorbs all of that bumpiness. And so the ARK sitting on top of that ILC, smooth sailing. It's the Cadillac of DeFi, right?
I had a whole speech prepared for the segue to ARK, but I guess you might as well go to segue to ARK.
My bad.
So give me the ARK guide, sir.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I feel really confident that this is a second chance. And by second chance, I mean, here I am. I did insanely well with Drip, but I'm on YouTube, and like it or not, disclaimers or not, people did what I did. Because I'm on YouTube talking about drip for a year and a half now, other people got into drip. And necessarily, other people, most folks, didn't do anywhere near as well as I did with drip. So I actually carry some guilt about that. You know, obviously, I do the disclaimer like every other crypto DeFi YouTuber does. This is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These decisions are yours, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, people get into the same protocols and the same investments as I got into. And it sucks that I did very well and lots of other people didn't do well, you know? So it's a second chance for my subscribers and people in our community to finally get that win. Now, is it going to be the same win that I got? I don't know, but at least it's going to be, I think it's going to be a win. So I'm very excited about the opportunity for other people to get a win, not just me, you know? And I'm also really excited to see what's possible in terms of mass adoption. I've always wanted that for drip, you know, and I've always wanted that for Animal Farm as well. Real mass adoption, millions of people getting into this ecosystem, and you know, and then just absolutely monstrous home run for all of the early adopters like myself and yourself and everybody listening to this this voice chat. And I feel like if any DeFi protocol is going to be able to hit that home run and achieve that holy grail of quote unquote mass adoption, I think ArkFi is very well positioned to do that. Of course, I can't predict the future. I don't know what's going to happen. It might not actually come to fruition, but I feel like it's the best platform out there in terms of being able to actually achieve that massive milestone.
Beautiful. Okay. So the last time I spoke to Atlas a few months ago. They had just launched. Things are going well, and he had much plans. And can you tell us what's changed since then? What are some of the things they've achieved in the past few months, and what's on the table right now?
Well, so yeah, it's very interesting because the recent news is the roadmap that they talked about not even 2 weeks ago, I don't think. So the roadmap includes things like the decentralized VPN service that they're going to be launching, the fiat on-ramp and off-ramp, the virtual debit card system that they're going to be rolling out, just a bunch of, I'm probably forgetting 2 or 3, new utilities that are going to be rolled out coming from the ArkFi team. And here's the thing, the Vault product, you can think Vault is like Faucet 2.0, okay? The Vault product in and of itself is fantastic, okay? That idea, that concept where everybody can earn free tokens in Vault and those free tokens can maintain their value or even grow in value, that's the dream, right? And it's not a pipe dream. It's so far, at least, it's actually working out that way. People are earning free tokens in Vault, and that those tokens are maintaining their value in and of itself. Just the design of the system as it stands today, irrespective of any future utilities and any future cash flows, into Vault, it's working all by itself. The ILC is the secret sauce. Definitely. The intelligent liquidity controller is most definitely the secret sauce. That's what smooths out the user adoption. That's what smooths out all of that incoming capital ebbing and flowing. That's what saves up the capital for a rainy day when the user adoption isn't quite there, the growth rate isn't quite there for whatever reason. That's okay. We can sustain a dry spell, right? So nothing happens in a straight line, right? User adoption doesn't happen in a straight line. And that's why the ILC is so important, because it smooths out that bumpy road into a straight line with respect to the price of the ArkFi token, i.e. the value of the free tokens that everybody's earning. So that's fantastic, and it's working tremendously well. And because of that, it's a very appealing financial product. And because it's a very appealing financial product, it will continue to grow. It will continue to gain new users and new capital. And it's this self-propelled mechanism all by itself. Now, above and beyond that, we learned with this roadmap presentation recently that the additional utilities that are coming in the future, those are going to feed capital into the ILC. So not only will we have new users coming in every day feeding capital into the ILC that sustains the vault system, we're now going to have external revenue sources pumping cash into that ILC. So I wasn't worried about the ILC maintaining its cash reserves, so to speak, just with the vault in and of itself. Now I'm even less worried. I'm less concerned, because I know that in the future there's going to be external sources of cash flow feeding into the ILC, keeping it all sustainable, and maybe even enough to where that price is not pegged. The ILC doesn't peg the price to $5.71. It holds it in a dynamic range. So it's constantly looking at the buy volume and the sell volume. Of course, it's looking at, how many tokens are being bought and how many tokens are being sold at any given time. But it also looks at future obligations. So the ILC is a smart contract, and it looks at the tokens in the wild. So the ArkFi tokens that people have sitting in their wallets, that is factored in. So the ILC is looking at that, and it's thinking it's an AI. Essentially, it's kind of like an AI. All of it's not that sophisticated, but if it was an AI, it would be thinking, okay, here's my current obligation. There's 100,000 tokens sitting out there in the wild in people's wallets. I better be prepared for everyone to sell all those tokens all at once, right? That's what it means to say it's keeping an eye on its obligations. The ILC is obligated to supply the BUSD in the event that all those tokens in the wild are sold. The ILC also looks at tokens that are quote unquote saved up in in people's available rewards, right? So everybody has a certain number of tokens available to them to go ahead and withdraw. So the ILC keeps an eye on that as well. So the ILC takes all of this information and it seeks to hold enough BUSD on hand to deal with all of these obligations. And dealing with those obligations means the price of the token stays within a certain range. But the thing about that range is it's dynamic. So if right now we have around, I think it's 430,000 BUSD in reserves in the ILC. Now, if we get 10,000 new users over the course of the next 30 days, for instance, and we get, I don't know, $1 million of new capital coming into the ecosystem, that might be enough for the ILC to finally say, okay, I can let this price raise. I can let it come up a little bit because I now have 1.4 million BUSD in the kitty, right, in reserves. And that's more than enough to cover all of my obligations. Okay, now I'm allowed to let the price rise. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited I'm excited about the way the system is working right now. I'm even more excited to see these external utilities coming online, feeding even more capital into the ILC above and beyond the capital that's being fed in by new user adoption. And I'm excited to
not to interrupt you, but can you speak to me more about I've been a little busy the last few days, well, a few weeks, but can you tell me more about how the on-ramp is going to work? Because it seems like they're partnering with Ultimo or something like that. Can you elaborate on that?
Ultimo is a partner for off-ramping. And I mean, it's really just, so Ultimo, if you're familiar with crypto.com, it's the same concept. You have a Visa debit card, and it's just a different system. It's you have an offshore bank account that's tied to that debit card, and then with the Ultimo platform, you can send crypto in there and top up your Ultimo debit card. So that's really a mechanism for off ramping. The on ramp. Now, I do want to say something with respect to the ArkFi team and delivering. So they have a track record. The ArkFi team has a track record of under promising and over delivering. And my first and only experience of that thus far is with respect to the PWA, the Progressive Web app, which is just like any other smartphone app. The difference is it's not an app that you would download from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. All right, it's an app. It's a smartphone app, but rather than downloading it from one of those traditional app stores, you would have to download it from pwa.arkfi.io. Anybody can download that on their phone and check it out. And so they promised back in January and February that they would have the PWA by the end of March. And lo and behold, end of March came, and there it was. And now it was initially only available to people in the DAO, and I guess there were a couple little bugs and little minor issues with it, so it didn't get released to the general public, so to speak, until maybe I think the first or second week of April. But they hit their deadline. And so I have a lot of trust and confidence when it comes to the ArkFi team, and they're saying we're going to do this and that and this and the other by such and such, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four of 2023. I believe they're going to hit their timing.
Right.
So yeah, go ahead.
And I think that goes back to the reason I think they can do that is that they work like a company. They probably, I'd imagine that, Brett has, I've spoken to Brett a few times. I can imagine he's similar to
Brilliant
me.
Dude. Brilliant dude.
I can imagine he has his set office hours, and that's what he has a set amount of time in his life that he sets to ArkFi, and he's religious about it. And that's one of the reasons I like it. Please please, developers, be more like that. Treat your project like if you started a company. So that means get up at 8 o'clock, go to work Monday to Friday, and do shit.
Yeah, they work
Forgive
they work 7 days a week over at ArkFi. They don't
I don't
take the day off. And
I don't know how Atlas shows up every day for that PC.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I need my days off here and there. I work pretty hard,
like
but
I said, it's a little much.
Yeah. I mean, it's
but it's good though.
Yeah, it's impressive to me. But as far as treating it like a company and running it like a company, and they are folks that have a tremendous amount of real world business experience and starting companies and being entrepreneurs. All of them, Atlas and Brett, certainly have that experience and that kind of a track record, and they bring that to the table, and I think that's awesome. But another thing that they do in terms of treating it like a company and a business is they have the so-called white glove concierge service, right? So you have a couple of dudes. It used to be just one dude, Coach Brad. Now it's two dudes. It might be three now, but I know for sure it's Coach Brad and it's Coach Mistletoe, and these guys are on the payroll, meaning they get paid by ArkFi, by Atlas, and by ArkFi. They get paid to do their job. They have hours. And what they do is they have a VC in the Ark Telegram. It's not 24 hours a day, but it is available every day, pretty much like from morning until late at night. You can go into the Ark Telegram group, and there's almost always somebody in the VC. You can join the VC, and you can have a chat with Coach Brad or Coach Mistletoe, and they will help you with whatever you need help with. And not only that, but you can, and I did this on my recent video that I published on the channel, both channels actually, is that I can send people, if I don't have time to onboard somebody onto my syndicate, I can just send them over to Coach Brad, send them over to Mistletoe. Those guys, because they're on the payroll, they're not going to pilfer that new user. They're not going to say, oh, cool, I'll add you to my syndicate, dude. No, they have my referral address on file. And if somebody comes into the Ark Telegram and says, hey, I'm here, Brandon sent me, because I'm here because I watched one of Brandon's videos, then Mistletoe or Coach Brad will walk that person hand in hand, one-on-one, in an honest, professional, friendly manner through the entire process. Whatever that person needs in terms of onboarding, maybe they're the greenest of green. They're a total newbie. They don't even know how to spell wallet, okay? They're going to get all of the guidance and all of the hand-holding they need from Coach Brad and or Coach Mistletoe. They are going to be added to my syndicate, and I didn't have to spend the 3 hours helping that person. Although I'm totally willing to help people, and I do the YouTube videos and people ask questions and I do my best to help. But that is tremendously powerful, not just for me, but for all people in ArkFi and in the vault. You can set your syndicate building almost on autopilot. You can literally just say, look, here's what I'm doing. If you want to get involved, I'm not great at explaining these things. Go to t.me/official Ark. Tell them I sent you. They're going to hook you up. They're going to give you all the training, all the hand-holding that you need, and they're going to add you at the end of the day. They're going to help you onboard onto my syndicate. So I think that's really, really powerful. It opens it up. I remember I got so many questions last year as I was on YouTube and doing the live streams and everything. People would constantly ask me how they could build a team of their own. Everybody wants to build a team in Drip, right? And how do I do that? How do I do that? How do I do that? So people want to do that, but but they don't know how. Well, this takes it out of their hands almost. If you can direct somebody to the ArkFi Telegram group, you're golden. You're in, and you can start building your syndicate immediately on autopilot almost. I think that's really powerful.
That really is. Like the whole time you were talking, I had this dumb joke in my head, and it's just the way my brain works. And the dumb joke was, so you're trying to tell me that they have customer service people?
What?
What? Sorry.
Yeah. They have legit
customer
service / tech support. Tech support really is that's the important function, right? Because this is DeFi, this is complicated stuff, this is foreign stuff. People are not used to dealing with any of this, for the most part. It's absolutely, and it's not a scam. Like, even right. Drip has a tech support channel on Telegram, but it's like the Shark Tank, It's
right, like, I don't think Drip doesn't have anything near what they do. They don't pay their people to sit there and be customer service. I wish so much they would shift to that kind of a model, yes, where I think all Drip's mods are volunteer people who have all their different agendas. They have, you can get banned by this person because they don't like what you said, but the other person will let you in. It feels like it's a disorganized free for all in that room, and getting banned from there is not necessarily a bad thing in my eyes nowadays, because it's just you have time to do other things.
So it's a bunch of things. So it's, first of all, everything is,
and not to bash Drip. I love Drip. Drip is the very first thing, and again, it pays me consistently. Nothing else. Yeah. Very few things do that. I love Drip.
Well, okay, but again, it boils down to the most important thing is user adoption, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you want this whole experimental financial thing to actually work, you're gonna need user adoption. Otherwise, we're just all sharing all of our money together. It's not gonna work. You need to have that growth, and that's what everything at ArkFi is designed to do that. And the other thing I was going to say is the optics. So speaking of free for all in the Drip Telegram group, and I'm guilty of this myself back in the early days of Drip, everybody was in that Drip Telegram group and everybody was shilling their link. And there was all kinds of drama about, well, you can't post your, don't post your thing so many times. And, everybody, one new user would come into the Drip Telegram group and they'd be pounced. There'd be 5 or 6 team leaders pouncing on that one person. Like, oh, use my link. And I mean, literally,
I hated that.
I joined 3 different syndicate or 3 different teams, or at least 2 different teams back in the day with Drip, because of people shilling their referral link in the Drip Telegram. And this guy said, hey, join my team and I'll give you $100 airdrop. And then I think On was on the call. At least I saw him earlier. He was like, hey, join my team, Ultimate Drip, and I'll give you $500 airdrop, but the optics of that, it doesn't look good. And especially if you're brand new and there's just this free-for-all sort of chaotic, hectic atmosphere where people are, trying to shill you their referral link, and it's just, you're just, as a new person coming into that for the first time, you're going to go, screw this. This looks scammy as hell. I'm out of here. Contrast that with the ArkFi Telegram. You're not allowed to shill your referral link. You're not even allowed to post a link, period, in the ArkFi Telegram group. It'll instantly be deleted if you post any link of any sort. Even if I post a link, it'll get automatically deleted. So there's no shilling of your referral link in the Ark Telegram group. Above and beyond that, they have the VC going every single day, so you can join in there. And the guys in there, Mistletoe and Coach Brad, they will not they will not show even their own link, even though they're doing all the work to onboard somebody. You're going to be the one getting the benefit of that. So I think that's awesome.
I like that. Yeah. I think Drip would, not to harp on Drip or anything like that. Again, it's just that I don't know how to say it. I think you touched on it a little. They just need to. You need to hire people to do the jobs instead of having volunteers. Having volunteers introduces agendas, and agendas are no good for whatever cohesive thing you're trying to do. You need to have people that are being paid to do a job, and those people can't we're not going to have user adoption if you go in a room and say, hey, well, I've seen some of the silliest things, like somebody will go in the room and say, how come this hasn't launched yet? And within like 2 seconds, they'll get banned. What? That's so ridiculous. That's not, how does that lead to adoption? And the hostility towards anybody that is viewed as new or newbie, it's so disgusting. It's so,
well, yeah. So
it's so silly.
Yeah, and again, that goes back to the optics, and it doesn't look good for someone brand new to come in and see any kind of negativity at all, and then you can't help when you have. And again, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to criticize.
No.
Not by any means, but you can't have losers in the system. Maybe that's the wrong word. You can't have folks that are underwater on their investment. You can't expect those folks to be happy. I mean, if people are underwater on their investment, they by default they're not going to be happy. And so you can't expect in Drip Network, you can't expect to not have a certain subset of the community that's unhappy and disgruntled. And so you're necessarily going to have some of that negativity in the community. And that takes place in the chat, in the Telegram chat, and other platforms as well. And so you just can't avoid that. Now, if you design a system where there's an even playing field, because you have a token that isn't mooning, it's not going parabolic up and it's not going parabolic down. It's just a smooth, flat price chart where somebody that got in 3 months ago, like me, paid the same price as somebody getting in today. So there's no hurt feelings. There's no FOMO. There's a feeling of equality. I love the theming of Ark because, amongst other things, you can say we're all on the same boat. I love that turn of phrase. There's that feeling that we're all in it together. We're all going to make it, right? WAGMI. We're all on the same boat. And I want to say one other thing too, and then I want to wrap it up pretty soon because I haven't eaten anything all day. And
This is
intermittent. I like intermittent fasting, but there's a point at which I just start to get hangry. But I would encourage people, because I know there's a lot of let's say disgruntled people. There's people out there that get their feelings hurt. Maybe there's people that they don't want to hear about something else, and even with my own channel, I had people making comments on my videos. Dude, you shouldn't talk about. You're called the Drip Guide, and you shouldn't talk about anything other than Drip, and wagging their finger at me. No, you're dishonest. You shouldn't do that. And And so I would encourage people to try to step back from that kind of thinking and think more along the lines of, you're an investor, I'm an investor, you're an investor, we have a bunch of potential investors coming in. And so what do you want to do that's best for your money? What's the best investment decision you can make? And I like to think of it in terms of technology, and I think about the first computers, right? And my dad did pretty well financially, and we had in our household, when I was growing up, 10, 11 years old, we had one of the very first personal computers, which in those days was an Apple Macintosh computer, 3.5-inch floppy diskette drive. That was it. There was no hard drive. We had a little Mac. It was a little box sitting on the desk there, and I thought it was really, really freaking cool. And the guys that designed that, the engineering team, the folks that designed that, kudos to them, man. They designed something amazing. And I loved it. I love the Apple Macintosh computer. Do I still use that computer today? No, I don't, because even a year later, something better came along. The technology, to use a phrase that you used earlier, the technology evolved. And did I feel bad when I started using the next computer that came along? Did I feel bad for the developers of the original Apple Macintosh? No, of course not. That doesn't make any sense. So realize that we're dealing with software. We're dealing with a scientific process of evolution where we've gone from one DeFi product to the next, to the next, to the next. The design has evolved. The technology has evolved. So not only is it possible that some new technology could come along that is superior to the old technology, it's not only possible, it's freaking guaranteed to happen. That's just how technology works. New designs come along, and new designs are, for the most part, superior to the old designs. That's just the nature of the beast. So don't feel bad about, well, I have to be committed to Forex Shark and I have to only focus on drip and that's it for me. You're an investor and you're investing in DeFi, and DeFi is technology, and technology evolves. New designs come along and new designs are superior. So don't feel bad about at least dipping your toes into something that has a superior design. That's well, I don't want to be negative and judgmental and use labeling and stuff like that. But I would just encourage people to take a step back, try to be less cultish, and try to realize that you're investing in technology, and technology involves, and you don't have to feel bad. It's not a bad thing, Don't judge yourself. Do what's best for your money. It's your money. It's your investment. Do what's going to do the best performance.
Are you going to be loyal to your to the shoe you had 20 years ago? Exactly.
Your sneakers are falling apart, man. No. I got to stay with my Air Jordans. That's it for me. They're freaking coming apart at the seams, but nope, that's all. That's it. No, I can't look at something new. Exactly. That's even better than not the drip is falling apart at the seams. Kudos to drip.
No.
Everything is up and running for 2 years plus, and that's great. That's very rare. That's super rare in DeFi, right? There's all kinds.
Don't send me hate. I love drip. Drip is the shit. When I'm talking about that, I was just making a random fucking analogy. Calm down.
You know what else I'll say, and maybe we can end on this, is I will stick a feather in the cap of Drip Network. And what I was saying way back in the beginning is all new capital, all new user adoption, and all new capital coming into Drip Network goes to the price of the token by default. All of that new capital goes to. So with Drip, and you don't have this with ArkFi, with Drip, you do have a potential for a very, very quick and very large return on investment.
Right.
With Ark, you're going to get your ROI over time, and it's this consistent, smooth sailing sort of function. With Drip, it's almost like the roulette wheel, where you could. I'm not saying you're going to. Nothing, of course, is guaranteed, but you could hit it very big. You put like $1,000 into Drip, and
especially at these prices, not financial advice.
Yeah, and something happens, and it goes from 32 cents to $5, and you're compounding, you know, and that could happen in a month. You could see the price do that. It's done it before. It could do it again.
Crypto is a cycle. It goes around. It goes around and around. That's it.
So it's almost like, you know. So to answer your question that you had earlier on about you know, constructing sort of a DeFi portfolio, I would, if I had to do it all over again, I would not be adverse at all to having a portion of my portfolio in Drip. Not at all. I would not bat an eye, because I know it's not going to be a rug pull. I know I'm not going to get ripped off, and it could be a lotto ticket. I could put 1,000 and turn it into 100,000. You know, that could happen.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you again for. I wanted to take the time to thank you for coming here, man. I appreciate you educating us and sharing your experience. I think there should be more things like this where we get to pick people's brains in DeFi, see what they're thinking, and hopefully we can do this again, sir. I learned quite a bit.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had a good time, sir. Thank you for taking the time. And
well, you know what?
As a giveaway, I've already posted that in the giveaway.
Oh, did you do a giveaway? Sweet. Oh, yeah. I mean, you're welcome, and I love doing this kind of stuff. This kind of conversation just absolutely floats my boat. Obviously, I mean, I don't know. It should be pretty obvious that I enjoy talking about all of this stuff. So, absolutely my pleasure. Totally enjoyed it. We could definitely do it again. Hopefully, the folks listening in got some value out of it, and yeah. Absolutely my pleasure. A lot of fun. There's On right there. On.
Yeah, he wants some money too. He wants some money too. He won part of the good. People are a little upset that I use ChatGPT to pick my winners, but I just hate giveaways. It's nothing personal. I just wanted it done. So I love you.
Well, I like, for giveaways, I like Wheel of Names. You know, it looks like Wheel of Fortune. You know, put a bunch of names on there and then spin it. Wheelofnames.com is fun, but yeah. All right, I didn't know you were doing a giveaway. That's cool.
Yeah, I did it with in the chat for people attending. Thank you guys. Awesome. You've been awesome. I appreciate you. I'm going to turn off the recording now. I will forward it to you, sir, shortly.
All right. I'm going to get some food.
Woohoo!